welcome to a new ship tour, and today we're taking a look at the Costa Fortuna. The Costa Fortuna is 272 meters long, 35.5 meters wide, has a tonnage of 102,669 GT, was built in 2003 and can take up to 3,470 passengers. The ship belongs to the Fortuna class. It was part of the Triumph class, which is basically the Destiny class with one additional deck. But even though this is just a small change and the ship otherwise is mostly the same, it is a new class. But also the ships of the Triumph class have been refurbished again and are now part of the Sunshine class. So now this ship class is called Fortuna class, and there's only one more ship in this class, and that is the Costa Magica. But the Costa Magica is not in service with Costa anymore. It is currently laid up in Greece, and so the Costa Fortuna is currently the only ship sailing in this class. It is a very unique and special ship, and that is because of her interior design. The whole interior design is themed around old cruise ships and ocean liners. We've now skipped decks 1 and 2 as they are only cabins, and we are now on deck 3 at the aft of the ship. And here we have the Ristorante Michelangelo 1965, one of the main restaurants on board. And the restaurant is named after a ship called Michelangelo, which was built in 1965. And all public areas are named after old ships. We can also see the design here in the staircase with the artwork of old ocean liners. Also, all other artworks are linked to ocean liners and traveling by ship. We're now back on deck 2, as there is the kitchen in between and there's no connection to the rest of deck 3, so we're now going back up to deck number 3. As you can see, this ship has a very unique design, and that is typical for Costa. Costa is well known for having a very colorful and unique design on all of their ships, especially on the older ships. Meanwhile, we've reached the next restaurant, which is the Ristorante Raffaello 1965, named after a ship called Raffaello, which was built in 1965. Also, this restaurant has 2 decks, just as the Michelangelo restaurant. We will see the second part of the restaurant Michelangelo later on. Here we can take a better look into the restaurant. Here we can see a bit more of the beautiful and unique design of the restaurant, inspired by old ocean liners, and typically for Costa, very colorful. And you will get assigned a table either in this restaurant or in the Michelangelo restaurant, and there are 2 different seatings. Now we have to go again back down to deck number 2. Or we can also take a look at the cabin hallway, also with a lot of artworks, all inspired by ocean liners. As we couldn't go through the restaurant as the doors on the other side were still closed, so we are now back on deck 2, going under the restaurant that we've just seen and back up on the other side where we will reach the atrium. And here we are in the atrium, the Atrio Costa, where we will find the hospitality service desk, or short, the reception. And here we can see the atrium, and this atrium is amazing. Finally, after a long time, I'm back on an older ship which has this impressive atrium that stretches over all decks of the ship. Early on, like 20 years ago when this ship was built, it was like a standard to have an atrium like this. It was supposed to be very impressive and beautiful. Nowadays ships won't get an atrium like this anymore, as it wastes a lot of space. Of course, nowadays ships are built to make a lot of money. Back then ships were built to impress the passengers. Nowadays you will try to find a combination of an impressive ship, but you also don't want to waste that much space, so that's why nowadays an atrium like this is pretty rare. So I was very happy to get to travel with a ship that has one of these very beautiful and impressive atriums. In the atrium we also have a bar, the Bar Costa, a rather small bar which is always pretty crowded as it is in a very good position on board. We are now on the promenade. It's not a promenade that is reaching all the way around the ship, but it's a nice promenade with the typical blue illumination of Costa. Here you can see the difference between my GoPro and my camera, so the difference between the videos and the photos. And the colors are always a bit more correct on the photos because the GoPro is not offering that much settings, so the colors might be slightly wrong. That's why I also include the pictures in my ship tour. And here we can see the Bar Costa again in the atrium, and we are now continuing to go to the front of the ship. And here we are getting past the excursion office. Here I can book my shore excursions. As always, I would recommend booking them in advance, but if you want to book something spontaneously, you can do that here. We are now continuing to go to the front, where we will find the theater of the ship. The Costa Fortuna is my first Costa ship, and I was not sure whether I would like the design of Costa. Costa does have a very unique design and a lot of people do not like it, and it always looks a bit over the top on pictures, but I was surprised not only but also by the design of the ship, because I really liked it. It is a very nice atmosphere on board, and it's very nice to be on a ship that does not look like every other ship. So it's a unique ship and I really like that. The theater is the Teatro Rex 1932. It is a bit less colorful, so it's not my favorite area on board when it comes to the colors, but I really love the design of the columns. If you take a closer look, you can see that they resemble the bow of a ship, and I really love all these small details that you can find all over the ship, especially here in the theater. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the colors of the theater, I still think that it is very beautiful. You will also see this when we are leaving the theater, as especially the entrances are very, very beautiful. As I said, I was not only surprised by the design of the ship, I was also surprised, for example, by the quality of the food. And I will tell you more about this later on in the upcoming videos, which will be the vlogs from board, where I will also show you my cabin. We are now on deck 4, and here we can take another look into the theater. As you can see, it's pretty spacious, stretching over 3 decks, so there are enough seats for most shows in the evening. And now we're continuing, going to the aft of deck 4, which is another deck with only public areas. Here we are back in the Atrio Costa, and here on the right side you can see the photo gallery, where you can buy the pictures that the photographers will take of you on board and on the excursions if you want to do so. Pictures are still printed, so there is no modern technology yet, but probably that will be changed in the future if the Costa Fortuna is staying longer in the fleet of Costa Crociere. And here on the right side we have another shop where you can buy some more photo products. Then on the right side again we have the entrance into the Ristorante Raffaello 1965, where we will continue our tour shortly. But before that we can see here on the right side the Sea Dream or Costa Dream, which is the place to book your future cruises. And then we have some more pictures shown here on the other side of the atrium. And here we have another view into the Atrio Costa, the very beautiful and colorful atrium of this ship. And now we are heading to the Ristorante Raffaello 1965. This time we're gonna take a look at the upper deck of the restaurant, which we can see here. So also this is a restaurant with 2 decks, both of them very beautiful, so it doesn't matter on which deck you will have your table. Both decks are quite nice. Here we also have another picture looking into the restaurant from the upper deck. We are now on the other side of the restaurant, continuing there, as it was not possible to walk through it because on this side the doors were closed. I just jumped here so that we don't have to go back 1 deck again, so we just skipped the walk through the restaurant. We are now exactly at the other side of the Ristorante Raffaello 1965. Here we have a short hallway, and now on the right side we do have a small library. It actually is a very small library, just a few books and a few chairs available. Of course, you can take the books with you if you want to do so. And behind that we are now getting to a quite interesting part of the ship, because here we do have a chapel. That's quite unique, a chapel on board of a cruise ship. I know that some other ships do also have chapels on board, but for me it was the first ship that has an actual proper chapel on board. Here we can see some pictures of the library and the chapel, and now we are continuing on to the aft of the ship, past the library again, and here we do have a small playing area, card game area, where you can play some games or do some puzzling, for example. And behind that we are getting to the next important area, which is the nightclub or disco on board. It's called Discoteca Vulcania 1927, which is a very spacious nightclub. Usually nightclubs are a bit further up on the ship, but here it's on deck number 4, right above the kitchen, so the noise of the nightclub shouldn't bother anyone. We have a very big dance floor and also some seating area available. Also, the nightclub is named after a former ocean liner which was built in 1927. There's also an additional access to the nightclub from deck number 5. Here on the left side we have the DJ booth, and on the opposite side we have the big bar. We also have some seats available. And that's it for the nightclub, and we are now heading to the aft of the ship. Before that we can take a look at the pictures of the nightclub, and now we're heading to the aft of the ship, and there we have the entrance to the second deck of the Michelangelo 1965 restaurant, the second main restaurant on board. Here we can see it a bit better, unfortunately during service, as there's no chance to get into this restaurant when it's closed, so I had to blur a few faces. And now we are done with deck number 4. We can continue on deck number 5. And here we have a small atrium which stretches over 3 decks. The 2 entrance decks of the Michelangelo Ristorante, and here where we have a bar and another restaurant. Here we can take another look into this atrium with a huge ship model on the lowest deck. Also the typical colorful design here. And on the right side we have the Sushino Lounge. This is a combination of a restaurant and a lounge. Here you can just sit down and have a drink, or you can enjoy some sushi, of course with the surcharge. And as you can see, this area looks a bit more modern and is less colorful. And this is because this is one of the few parts of the ship that have already been refurbished. To be honest, I prefer the old colorful design, because this looks like on any ship, and the other parts of the ship are very unique, and that's what I love about the Costa ships. I know there's always a lot of hate for the design of Costa. There are always a lot of comments like, this is a very ugly ship and how could you travel on a ship like that? But I think that's a very stupid comment, because of course every personal taste is different, and I personally love that the Costa ships are different. Of course their design sometimes can be a bit over the top, but at least there is a ship that is not looking like all the other ships. Most new ships look exactly like the other. They are all more or less the same, and especially the old ships of Costa are something completely different, and therefore they are very interesting to me, and I don't understand why people are hating on the design so much just because they personally don't like it. If you don't like the design, you can just book another ship, but if you want to see something else, Costa Fortuna is the ship to go with. Here we are in the Salone Leonardo da Vinci 1960, which is one of the biggest bars and lounges on board. Very beautiful. Only downside, the bar is at the windows at the aft of the ship. I don't understand why they choose that location, because that would be a very nice location to have a seat and look over the sternwave, but they put the bar there, so that's the only downside. Here we have the next bar, which as you can see is already modernized, and that is the Conte Rosso wine bar. It looks very nice, but it has the typical downside of a modernized or new bar. It looks very nice, but as you can imagine, these seats are not very comfortable. So this is a typical modern but uncomfortable design. We're now leaving the Conte Rosso and going to the other side of the ship. On the starboard side we have an arcade game room. Here kids can play some arcade games, and this area is very close to the adult version of this, the casino, which is right next to it. And the design is also quite interesting of the arcade room. As you can see, it is inspired by an old sailing ship. And now we are coming to the casino. The casino is absolutely stunning. It's incredibly beautiful, looking like in an old castle. The Art Deco style is amazing here. This is one of the most beautiful casinos I've ever seen on a cruise ship. It is really, really beautiful. You can see it very good right now, but you will see it a little bit better even on the pictures that will follow soon. It's very colorful, it is very, very elegant, so this is quite a big and beautiful casino. We are continuing on to the front of the ship and we're coming to the next big lounge, I think the biggest and most important lounge on board, the Grand Bar Conte di Savoia 1932, and this is probably the most unique and most beautiful bar I've ever seen on a cruise ship. It is, of course, again designed over the top, but to be honest, I love it. It's really, really unique. It's very beautiful. It's such a nice and unique atmosphere, and it's also very comfortable. These yellow chairs are so comfortable, they are so cozy. And it's also very cleverly designed because you have a lot of windows so you can enjoy the view. We have very comfortable seating. We have small tables, we have big tables, so there are cocktail tables, but there are also some tables where you can actually play a game, and there are even some tables with power sockets where you can work on your laptop, for example, sorting the memory card, or if you have to work during your cruise, you can also do that here. So it's a very multifunctional lounge. You also have a big dance floor. There are a lot of events here, so this is a very, very nice area, and here we can see it in the pictures, probably even a bit better how beautifully this area is designed. I know it's very colorful and you might say it's a bit overdone, but I personally love the style, and for me this is a very, very interesting ship, especially because it is not like the other ships. And now we are back in the atrium. Here on the right side we have a Swarovski store. As you know, Swarovski is quite active on cruise ships. They have a store on a lot of cruise ships, and right next to it is the Costa logo store. Here you can buy all the products with the Costa logo, so it's very good for souvenirs for everybody who had to stay home. And of course there are a lot more shops available because this is the shopping area. Here we can see the Italian flag that I was talking about early on, and this is a downside of the refurbishment of the ship, because the blue sky with the Italian flag used to be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on a ship, and one of the coolest idea I've ever seen on a cruise ship, because there used to be models of all former Costa ships. Really, really big models hanging down from the ceiling. It looked amazing, and I'm so sad that they removed this and replaced it by a, to be honest, pretty boring flag. So yeah, that's quite sad. If you want to see how it looked, just go on a Wikipedia article about the ship. They still have the picture of the former atrium with the ship models. It looked amazing, and I absolutely cannot understand why they removed that. That was for me the best part of this ship, and I was so sad when I came on board and realized that they had removed this area and replaced it by a pretty boring flag. Here we have some more shops where you can buy perfumes, for example. There are also, of course, shops where you can buy jewelry, watches, handbags, clothing. So everything you can imagine is, of course, available. We are continuing. Here we have the Teatro Rex 1932 again. Now we are on the top floor of this theater. As you can see, it's quite steep, so from all seats you should have a quite good view of the stage. And here we have another picture of the theater. We're now continuing. We can skip next deck, deck number 6, as there are only cabins. Also on deck 7 are only cabins, but there is one outdoor area that I would like to show you because it's very easy to miss it. For this outdoor area you have to go all the way to the front, and then you have this door, and this will give you access to the outdoor area at the front of the ship. Even though with only 20 years it's not a that old ship, it still has the very, very nice outdoor areas at the front that you will not find on newer ships. Here you have a fantastic view. In this case we were entering the port of Savona, but imagine staying here while sailing into the Norwegian fjords, for example, and having this fantastic view over the very short bow of the ship. So it is pretty nice, and this is available on many decks, so there is a lot of outdoor space available at the front of the ship. We will see an even better area at the end of the video. We are now skipping deck 8, continuing on deck 9, as on deck 8 are also only cabins. Here on deck 9 we have the highest deck of the atrium with the glass roof. Here on deck 9 we also have the sun deck. Here with a small stage. Behind the stage are some hot tubs, and this whole area is called Lido Oceania 1932. It's quite a small Lido area. There are much bigger Lido areas on other ships, but later on we will see that this is not all of it. I will show you more of it later on, but before, let's take a look at this covered area here where we have proper tables, so this can also be used as an extension for the following buffet restaurant where you can sit outdoors, for example for a nice breakfast in the sun. And right next to it we have the swimming pool that we will see later on a bit better. And now we can turn to the front of the ship, and here we can see that there's something like an amphitheater where we have a lot more space. So this is not that small Lido area, it's just a small area around the pool, but additionally we do have this huge amphitheater with a lot of sun lounges, so there is enough space available here around the pool. And later on we will see another pool with more space and some more outdoor areas, so there's a lot of outdoor space available on the Costa Fortuna. And we are now continuing on to the aft of the ship, and here we have two bars. On the left side we do have a snack bar. Here we have another picture of the pool, and here we can see the bar. And then on the other side we have another bar where you can get some ice cream and of course also some drinks. But before we take a look at that bar, we can take yet another look at the main pool on board, which is big enough to have a proper swim, but it's also quite nice to just relax there. And here we can see the bar. As you can see, it is modernized, looking quite nicely and modern. Here you can get ice cream and of course some regular drinks. Here we have another seating area around the corner, and now we're heading for the main buffet restaurant, which is called the Ristorante Buffet Cristoforo Colombo 1954. And to be honest, it is not my favorite part of the ship. It looks a bit like a canteen, so nothing too spectacular like on many buffet restaurants on cruise ships. The design is not as beautiful as in the main restaurants. Also, it is a pretty small area, so compared to other cruise ships with the same amount of passengers, it is a very small buffet restaurant, and therefore it can be pretty crowded. It's very possible that you have to wait to find a table, and also queuing at the food stations is quite common here in the buffet restaurant. Also, the opening times are limited. I will tell you a bit more about this later on, so that's why this is not my favorite area. Of course, it is also themed like the rest of the ship, but not as nicely as the main restaurants, for example. And also the food quality in the main restaurants is amazing, so for me personally there is no reason to go to the buffet restaurant, and that's why this is not my favorite area on board. There is also a small atrium here with 3 decks. We will see later on what's in the upper decks of this atrium. And now we can leave the buffet restaurant. Before that we can see another seating area. As you can see, it is quite a small area, and therefore we have an additional seating area in the next part of the ship, which is the Lido Colombo. As you can see, there are also some big tables, so also here you can sit down and enjoy your lunch, breakfast, or dinner. But this is not only an additional seating area, it is also another pool area. As you can see here, we have the Lido Colombo pool, which is about the same size like the main pool, but it is covered with a roof. So if the weather is not good, you can close the roof and it becomes an indoor pool. If the weather is nice, this is just another outdoor area. So this is an additional place to eat, but also an additional pool and the perfect alternative to the main pool if the weather is not perfect. Here we also have those very nice windows that are slightly tilted to the back, so they are also quite distinctive for the look of the exterior of the ship. And here you have a fantastic view over the stern wave of the ship, so it's not only a nice area to swim or to eat, but also to just sit down and enjoy the view. As the roof can be closed and it has walls, it is windproofed, and also weatherproof, so this is a perfect area all year round to enjoy the fantastic view over the stern wave. Here we have some more additional pictures of this area, and here we can see the bar, so there's an extra bar available in this area, so you also of course can enjoy some drinks here. And now we can continue on to the next deck. We can leave deck 9 and go up to deck number 10. And now we can take a look at what we can see in the atrium on the deck 2 here. And here we have a Pomodoro, which is a pizza restaurant. Here you can enjoy some pizza. Pizza is not included in the price, so you need to pay for the pizza. And this is also the place you have to go if you want to have a late night snack, as the buffet restaurant is closing pretty early. It's closing about the same time like the main restaurants. So there's no possibility to go up to the buffet restaurant to have late night snack. Instead you have to go to Pomodoro and eat a pizza, but of course you have to pay for that pizza. The pizza is nice, but nothing too spectacular, so I would only recommend going here for a late night snack, but it's not worth to replace the food in the main restaurant with a pizza here. And we can go up one more deck, and here we have another restaurant. Here we have the Club Conte Grande 1927, which is a club restaurant, so it is for members of the Costa Club, for guests who are in a suite, or you can of course also pay to have a dinner here. And now we can go out again. Here we have a jogging track with a nice view also over the stern wave and over the roof of the covered pool, which we can see here. And now we are going back down because we skipped the outdoor part of the deck number 10. So here you have a big outdoor area with this nice view. Here we have some more pictures. So there's a lot of outer space available here as well. So in general you can say that this ship has a lot of outdoor space available, as it's mostly sailing in warmer areas. Now we're heading slightly back to the front past the pizza restaurant. Here we also have a lot of outdoor space available. And before heading to the front part of the ship, we are now taking a look at all the upper decks here at the aft of the ship. Before that we can enjoy this nice view over the pool area from here, and now we can go up again back on the jogging track. So now we are back where we just left the club restaurant, and from here we can go up another deck to deck number 12, and here we have some more outdoor areas. Here on the left side you can see the glass roof of the small atrium in the buffet restaurant. And also here you have a fantastic view over the stern wave of the ship. And what's quite interesting is that you can directly access the funnel of the ship. Usually it's quite impossible to even get close to the funnel of a ship, but here you can even go directly to the funnel and even touch it. And before the funnel is a sports area with a small seating area, so you can also have some events here, of course covered with a net, so there's no danger to shoot a ball into the sea, so it's perfectly protected. And as you can see, we are now right at the funnel, can go directly to it. It's quite impressive to see how big the funnel actually is if you're standing right in front of it. So quite an impressive place, and from here you also have a quite nice view over the whole ship, so this is a quite nice area. And here we can take another look at the sports area, and here we have the picture with the view over the ship and also of course of the sports area. So that's it for deck number 12 at the rear part of the ship, so we can now head down again. Here we have another nice view over the pool area to the front of the ship. Here we can also see it in another picture, so this is also quite nice place to enjoy this view. But now we've seen everything at the rear part of the ship, and now we're heading back to the front because there are some more nice and interesting areas that we will take a look at now. So we are now back at the amphitheater with the sun lounges here. And here we have yet another pool. This pool is a bit smaller, so it's not big enough to have a proper swim, but also nice to refresh and relax. For example, also quite nice for the parents. Whilst the kids are on the water slide, parents can also be in a pool and have a look what their kids are doing. And now we're heading inside. And we're now going to my favorite area on the ship, which is also a hidden area, quite a secret. I almost missed it myself, so this is why I want to show it to you. You can access this area from deck 9 or from deck 10. We are now on deck 10, and here you have yet another outer area, just like the one that I showed you earlier on. So this is nothing spectacular. The spectacular part is on deck 9. Deck 9 is the deck above the bridge, so we're now heading down. We are now right above the bridge, and here we can go on the wing of the bridge. We can access the roof of the wing of the bridge. So here you have this unique view that usually only the captain has from the bridge, from the wing of the bridge or the nock. And here you can access this area and have this fantastic view, like looking on the ship from the side. This is quite unique, this view. Cannot have this on many cruise ships. Also, the view to the front from here is very spectacular. So imagine standing here watching the ship going through a beautiful landscape, or just like me right now watching the ship going into the port, in this case port of Savona in Italy. This is a very, very nice area. It's quite hidden, so you need to know that this area exists and is accessible. So especially on the first days of your cruise, you might be here on your own. Later on, probably most guests will find out that you can go there, and then it might be a bit more crowded, but I think it's quite a secret area and you should definitely know where it is. So from deck 9 or deck 10 you could go to this area and stand above the wing of the bridge. We are now on deck 11. Here we have the area called Sole Mio, which is the conference area, so we cannot access it. Instead, we are heading back outside. We're back at the amphitheater of the Costa Fortuna. Here we have another nice view over the pool area. And now we're getting up one more deck. Here we have additional outdoor space, some more sun loungers. So as I said, there's a lot of outdoor space available on the ship. And here we have the solarium bar. Yet another bar, so also here you can have a drink whilst enjoying the sun. We're heading inside, and as you can see, there is also a bar on the inside of the ship. It's the same bar, so you have an inside and an outside area of this bar. This bar does not have a seating area, but it has an inside area because right next to it is the gym. The gym was still closed. As always, I did my ship tour early in the morning, so there was no chance to go inside the gym. And here also on the right side we have the kids and teens club. That's it, what we can see here inside. So let's head back outside. Here we have table tennis and table kickers, some more sun loungers. And here we have the outdoor area of the kids and teens club with a small pool and some playing areas. Of course, also closed at this early time in the morning. And here we have a picture of the outdoor area and of the kids club area. And now we can head up one more deck. We are now getting to deck number 14. There is no deck 13 on the Costa Fortuna, even though 13 is not the unlucky number in Italy. Still, there is no deck 13, as the 13 is an unlucky number in many other countries. Here we have another sun deck, some more space to enjoy the sun, of course, without shadow here on the highest accessible deck of the ship, but it's partly wind covered, and of course also from here you have a nice view over the bow of the ship. Not the nicest view, the nicest view you have in the area that I just showed to you on deck 9, especially over the bridge, but also from here you have a quite nice view. And we can now take a look down one deck. Here we have the outer area of the gym, so this is also just an outer area, nothing special, but we can take another look at it here. And now we've seen almost all areas. We're now heading to the back of this deck, and here we have the access to the water slide, the famous blue and yellow water slide that you can find on most ships of Costa Crociere. And now we've actually seen all areas that I can show you on the Costa Fortuna. But as promised, we are ending this video with a ride with the panoramic elevator, therefore we have to head a bit down. Unfortunately, I was not alone in the elevator, so we had two stops in between. I tried to edit them out as good as possible, so that's why we have two small stops in here. Here we can see the Italian flag, the new artwork again, looking nice, but in my opinion not a perfect replacement for the very nice ship models that have been here before, and here we can see the wonderful, colorful atrium of the Costa Fortuna. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded, which will be the vlog from the Costa Fortuna, where you can see my cabin here, and also you can see the name of the song. As always, I would like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider to comment, like or share the video link. And if you want to see more ship videos, make sure to follow, and I hope to see you in my next video.